Wendy here, and today I'm going to be talking about OCD and Tourette's. Okay, so a lot of you guys might be saying, Wendy, what are you talking about? What, isn't this a Tourette's channel? Well, yes it is. But also, what a lot of you guys may or may not know is that Tourette's has a lot of comorbidities. So you're like, comorbidities? What kind of scary word is that? Comorbidities means that Tourette's has a lot of co-occurring disorders like ADHD, OCD, anxiety, depression. It just has a lot of other disorders that can go hand in hand with it. So let's say that you go to like the weirdest restaurant ever and you're like, hello, yes, good sir, can I have a plate of Tourette's, but can I have a side of OCD and anxiety, please? Like, it's just like each person orders their own thing. Not orders, but you get it. Each person has like their own plate of things. So a lot of the times when you see somebody with Tourette's and they're doing just other things and you're like, hey, I thought you had Tourette's, don't you just tick or squeak and do stuff like that? It's like, no, a lot of people have just other underlying disorders. So for this video, I'm going to be talking about OCD and how it personally affects me. So I kind of wanted to explain to you guys like kind of like the differences between Tourette's and OCD, because sometimes they make like ugly little babies and it's like really hard to differentiate between both of them. For those of you who are watching who don't have Tourette's, who don't have OCD, who are just trying to learn about this, I kind of have a way of describing it for you guys, how it feels. So Tourette's, I always like to explain it as like a feeling that you can't breathe, like a feeling of suffocation, that if you don't do this tick, let's say for instance my squeaking tick, if I don't do that tick, I feel like I'm suffocated. I can suppress it for as long as I want, but I will always have that uncertain feeling. And on the other hand, for OCD, it really feels like that actually is a feeling of dread. I like to explain it like when you know something bad is going to happen. Like, you know, everybody has that sixth sense of when something bad is going to happen. When you're gonna witness an accident, you just know, like that feeling right before it happens. That's kind of the feeling that you get with OCD. It's not so much of a suffocating feeling, it's a dreadful feeling. Let's say for instance a squeak. I get triggered and I have to do my squeak. That is, I'm suffocated if I don't do it on the Tourette side. And then on the OCD side, it's if I don't do this, something really bad is going to happen. And then I have to do it. So that's just a case. For me, my squeak is on my Tourette side. I don't have a feeling of dread if I don't do it. I feel a feeling of suffocation. I made a list of different types of like OCD and OCD fueled things that I do just to kind of explain it to you guys. So the first one I wanted to talk about was corner touching, where anytime I see like a sharp corner, I have to touch it with my palms. So the thing is, I would have to touch it with one palm. And if I touch it with one palm, I would probably have to touch it with the other palm. So it's just this feeling that if I see a corner and I need to touch it, no matter where it is, no matter how high it is, I have to touch it, or I have to find something to satisfy that. I would say that this one lays more on my OCD side, where I have to touch corners because I really feel like something really bad is going to happen if I don't touch all the corners. So like for instance, let's say it was this, and it's not usually, this is a bad example because this one has more of a rounded corner. It has to be like kind of a really sharp corner where I feel it on my palms, but that will do. But for instance, like the table I'm at now has really rounded corners. It's typically not that. Sometimes I will have to touch them, but it's usually sharper corners that really catch my interest. For my second one, I'm going to talk about is my tapping one. I have talked about this in other videos, but my tapping one goes like this. It's usually when I'm like drinking anything or I just have anything with like a rounded bottom, and it really depends on the surface that I have, but typically I have to tap it, and I have to tap it just right. And I have to feel like it's touching like the bottom just right in order for me to stop. So for instance, if I go like that, that doesn't work. If I go like that, or if I slide, especially when people slide their items, I have to pick it up and tap it. Like I have to make sure like the bottom is tapped in order to leave it. And that happens a lot with water bottles because whenever I pick them up, it happens with a lot of things with rounded bottoms. So like let's say I pick up a certain item and then I have to tap it to put it down. It doesn't happen with everything. Let's say I'm throwing something on the bed, I don't have to tap it. It's usually like hard to hard surfaces that I do it. Another one that I have is a hand washing compulsion. That one just leads more to just the feeling of dirtiness. Like it's a different type of uneasy. Like the other compulsions are more of like a dreadful something bad is going to happen, whereas my hand washing is more I don't like like I know my hands are dirty and I have to go wash them. This one has really impacted me lately because I really have to stop myself from doing it, and I kind of try to push my boundaries so it doesn't turn into a really big compulsion of mine. Like even now, just like looking at my hands, like I start thinking like, oh, when was the last time you washed them? Especially because I have this tick where I touch my forehead, and if I start thinking about it, like the more you think about it, the worse it gets. So I really try to keep it out of like my mind. But the hand washing is like I wash my hands more than average now than I did before, and I'm really trying to cut back on that. The next one I have is again with my hands. I think I have the biggest problems with like my hands and my feet. Like my hands, I do not like touching certain surfaces. My personal like tablets and iPads and phones or anything, I'm fine to touch, but it's usually this type of surface that I can't touch. So mirrors, glass, anything really smooth, I can't leave my fingerprints on them. Like I just do not touch those, especially out in public. I will never touch anything, drag my hand across those surfaces. I don't like the feeling, and I don't like knowing that I'm leaving my fingerprint there, if that makes sense. I know it doesn't make sense to a lot of you guys who don't have like these compulsions, but it's like I can't leave my fingerprints on certain areas, and I just don't like touching it. And then overall, that's more of the uneasy feeling, and then back to the feeling of uncleanliness. I can't touch anything in public because I know so many people have touched it. Like it just anywhere open. I never open doors. I always have people open doors for me. I don't touch public things, and if I do, I have to touch it with my shirt. I just can't leave my fingerprints anywhere like a robber or like I just can't touch things, or else that's where the excessive hand washing comes in. A weird thing about me is like with my feet, I always have to have socks on, preferably socks and shoes. But if I don't have my shoes on, I cannot take my socks off. Like I cannot walk on bare floors with my feet. Like that's a nightmare. So like literally like throughout the day, like I only have my socks off like after the shower, and like instantly after the shower I put my socks on. Like that's the only time I can be. And then everyone's like during summer too, I'm just like I'm just never without. Like I can be at the beach. If I'm at the beach, the grainy texture, it doesn't bother me at all. It's only when it comes to like smooth surfaces, even maybe carpet. I'm better on carpet than I am on hard floors. Like I cannot do any smooth surfaces. Carpet I can't do it. I just don't like the feeling of like I don't like feet. I don't like, and I know I don't like knowing my bare feet or touching other places where bare feet or shoes have touched. It's just a nightmare for me. So another one, which is pretty interesting, is I say certain phrases in order to avoid bad things to happen. And I use the quotation marks because I know, me in my head, I know nothing is going to happen, but it's the inner me that's like, no, something is going to happen. I know I say multiple phrases throughout like the day or like inside of my head. But one of my main phrases that I say when anybody is leaving the room, I usually say drive safe. So especially like, let's say my boyfriend, if he's gonna go out into the world, I always say drive safe. And that's how it initially started, saying like drive safe. And then now it's turned into somebody's gonna go shower, but they tell me, I say drive safe. So if they just go into the shower, I just watch them go. Well, I'm not peeping them going into the shower. Like if they just go into the shower, fine. But if they're like, okay, Wendy, I'm gonna go take a shower, I say, okay, drive safe, love you, bye. I say that. Okay, good night. Okay, bye, good night, drive safe, love you, bye. So anytime anybody's saying bye to me, I always tell them drive safe, drive safe. And then a lot of people have called me and they're like, drive safe? What? I'm just gonna go shower. I'm like, oh, no, did I say that? Like, so I try to still kind of hide it because it's kind of weird, but that's like a way for me to avoid them dying or whatever they're doing. So yeah, drive safe is my phrase. Usually in my head, I say things in Spanish that were ingrained in me as a little girl, like from religion and stuff. There's a thing that I say, perdón, Diosito, which means sorry, God. And I'm just constantly saying it in my head. So like anytime I have an intrusive thought, I'm like, perdón, Diosito, sorry, God, sorry, God, sorry, God. And I shake my head. That's another one, my head shaking. When I get an intrusive thought, I shake my head to shake that bad thought away. So I'm always like, the phrases are a constant thing just to make sure people are safe. The same way as like certain things keep people safe, like my routines, I do that to keep people safe. Again, this is all in my head. This isn't, I know that nothing is going to happen, but I know that? And like, I just know that if I don't do it and something bad does happen to me, even though it's irrational, I will blame myself. Another thing that I do is I touch things evenly. So for instance, if I touch a crack, I try to avoid cracks as much as I can, like on the sidewalk and stuff, because I don't like the dent in my feet. So let's say, for instance, if I do touch a crack in the sidewalk and it's significant enough, I will touch it with my other foot and then I will jump. So my jumping tick kind of goes hand in hand, because I would touch a crack and then jump. so I can have the same feeling on each side. Same thing, if I touch something with one hand, I'll touch something with the other and then touch both. Another one that I like is even numbers, and again, this is in quotation marks because even for me is odd numbers, especially 5. So for this is like a really small one. I think this is really average among even people who don't have OCD. It's just like kind of a compulsion that everybody does of liking things even. It's setting things to 5. So the volume, I have it in 5, I have it in 10, I have it in 15. God forbid, like I don't even want to say it. No, I'm not gonna. Okay, I wouldn't want it like on 16 because that's like now it's out in the air and it's not even in 15. It's weird. so I have to have it on even numbers. So I can't leave the TV volume or any volume at a if it's not in conjunction to 5. It's yeah. I'm also obsessed with the number 3 in other things. So like for instance, my sign of the cross, it's in 3s, which is the weirdest thing because I hate certain things like that. But then even my tapping, sometimes I'll do it in 3. There is other things that I do in 3, which is just so strange to me because it's like, what kind of number is that? Okay, so now we are going to go to the little ugly babies that Tourette's and OCD create. These are tics that are fueled by OCD. So what I mean by that is that these tics are literally combined, have like inner threaded themselves with OCD. So for instance, I was just talking about my jumping one. My jumping one is a tic in the sense that I have to jump hard and I have to feel that sensation on my feet, or I feel suffocated. And at the same time, I have the dreadful feeling that something bad is going to happen if I don't jump at this time or this amount of times. It's usually 3 times as well. The other one I talked about was my sign of the cross one. So this one is really interesting because it started off as... So the reason it started off like that is because, again, when I was younger, like religion was ingrained into me. So everything was like, sorry God, sorry God, sorry God. So when this started like around like the end of high school, where I would have to do the sign of the cross because I would either think something really bad and that was my way of like apologizing, or I knew something bad was going to happen. So it was like me kind of like praying to God for it not to happen. And just the more that people started noticing, they're like, why are you doing that? And people knew I wasn't religious, so it was really hard to explain. So I kind of forced myself to kind of tone it down to that. And then it started to become sort of a tic, even though it kind of started off as a tic as well, because not only did I do that in order for it to, so not only did it start like that for my OCD, but also the feeling of touching, pounding each time I went around. So I had to pound my chest in a certain motion. So then now I do this when I have an intrusive thought to get rid of it, to say, sorry, God. And also as a tic, the tapping in conjunction with the little kiss. So just recently have I noticed that if I don't do it without the little kiss, it means nothing. It's like as if I didn't do it, and even worse, it's like then like the feeling of dread comes in tenfold. Because the other day, I don't remember what I was doing. I think I had a lollipop in my mouth or something, and then I just went, I don't want to do it because it's gonna really like mess with me, but so imagine I just tapped without doing the kiss, and like all of a sudden it was so weird because like it's like kind of like a machine that's going into a well-oiled machine, and all of a sudden it has like a clank in it and it doesn't know how to go anymore. It was kind of like that. Like I did it, and all of a sudden I got like a dread, and I was like, something's wrong, something. So then I just did the kiss, and then I did it combined, and then I had to do it combined a lot of times. So for instance, if I don't do it right, I have to in excess do them both individually and then do them at the same time. Same thing when I touch something with one hand, touch something with the other, touch it with both. So I did one of them, I did the other one, did it together, and then I had to do it a lot of times to kind of get that machine going again. And it's like the weirdest feeling. I hate it. So so for that one, the tapping, the sensation of me tapping here and on my finger, and the kissing lips one, that's all Tourette's. And then knowing that I'm doing it to please God, or to like not to, get to say like that, sorry God, to get that intrusive thought out of my head, that's the OCD side. So that one's probably my more complex tic. Like all of these are really complex tics, which there's more to it than just like a single like squeak, like the squeak. That's just a vocal tic, or just like my head, my grimaces and stuff. Those are simple motor tics. But for something like this, this is considered a complex tic, which is just something that it takes a lot of different things to make it. So the other one that I have is the head shaking one, this one here. So let's say I have an intrusive thought. This is probably one of my oldest tics. I've had it like since before I started kindergarten. It's whenever I have an intrusive thought and I shake it away. And it's literally imagining like a cloud of smoke in front of you and then you going like this, fanning it away. That's exactly how it is in my head. I have a bad thought and when I shake it, it's just getting rid of that smoke. So that's the OCD part of it. And then the Tourette side of it is I have to feel the sensation of my brain hitting the sides of my head. And it got really bad at one point where I was shaking my head and I felt like my brain would just throb how much I was doing it. So that one's another complex tic where it looks like simple head shaking, but it's more than that. So my newest tic is this one here. I explained in another video. It's my pounding tic. Let's say I see a corner and I can't touch it at the moment. I do this and it really helps, and I have no idea why it helps. Whenever I see something that I want to do, I do that and it kind of like calms me down. So it's like when I get that feeling of dread on the OCD side, I pound and it calms me down. And then on the other end, the tic side, I need the sensation of me pounding on the chest right here. Both of these, both my chest pounding and my shoulder tic are like bridges. Like, so like let's say there's a little island of Tourette's and a little island of OCD. And all the pollution in the middle is just like kind of like tics that and OCD that have mixed up into like sewage in the middle. But there's also these bridges. And the bridges here, one of the bridges is this pounding tic and this other bridge is my shoulder tic. And the reason I call those bridges is because they really help me regulate between both of them. So for instance, this one here helps me calm down and not getting more tics and kind of calming me down when I'm having a feeling of like my compulsions coming on. And my shoulder one, so this one is like if I see something, let's say usually for me it's like when I'm straightening something, my shoulder starts doing this. You'll see me like looking and all of a sudden my shoulders will start doing this. It makes me laugh because I say like this one calms me down and this one hypes me up. Like this one is saying, okay, calm down, it's okay, everything's okay, you don't need to touch that corner right now and you're fine. And then this shoulder one's like, hey, did you see that? Did you see how that's bothering you? You need to organize that. You need to do this. You need to touch that. So this tic, anytime I know I'm gonna go do something or something, my shoulders start going like that. And when I'm currently in the middle of organizing or something, both like I'm flexing like this, which is like, I don't know, it's really weird. It's like my body has a mind of its own. So I'm going to stop right there because I know all of this information is very overwhelming, especially to those of you who are just trying to learn like kind of the sensations that we get like having this. For those of you guys who do have OCD with Tourette's or just OCD in general, please comment below and let me know if any of these things happen to you, if I'm describing it well enough, or just give me your own like rendition of how you guys feel like experiencing these things. Because sometimes like I make it sound like very whimsical at times. Like I feel like every time I talk about things it sounds like wow, look how interesting that is. But sometimes it isn't really fun, and sometimes it's really kind of debilitating just because it's like things that it's not like just idiosyncrasies that you're like, oh well, it's just like a weird thing you do. It's just like something that some days it just gets very overwhelming. But I do like making my videos, just letting you guys know that you're not alone out there. If you guys have these same things, I'd love to hear if you guys have any of mine. Hopefully I didn't give you any during these videos. And again, I just love hearing your comments. If you guys have any other video ideas, please comment below, because this video idea was actually brought to me by one of my subscribers and commenters. So I thank you guys. Yeah, so I hope you guys like this video. If you guys enjoy my videos and want to watch more, go ahead and subscribe, like, and until next time, bye guys.